Welcome to our masterclass of the Gullah Geechee culture. Hey y'all, it's Kim, aka Kim with the Gems, back with another travel video. This one is special. It is about our community, or a segment of our community, which is often forgotten. But today we're going to hear from the experts that are also descendants of Gullah Geechee on the history of this resilient community. First, you're going to experience honoring the ancestors, which is a tradition in the Gullah Geechee culture, followed by words from the dad on Gullah Gullah Island from Nickelodeon, and then from Mr. Sun Cho, who is the first and only professor at Harvard University that teaches Gullah Geechee language. Be sure to follow the channel for more. Like this video, share with a friend, but for now, enjoy this one-of-a-kind masterclass.
Yesterday, come by and learn about African symbology. So they have picked their own symbol and they have their name attached. And then we could hear from this this stamp, which means by God's grace, because we know that that is what it's taking to revitalize that entity, the black pearl. And so we wanted to do it in gold so that we are bringing back the black gold. Thank you. We appreciate all of you for being here on behalf of the festival and as well as the Gullah Geechee Culture Heritage Corridor and National Heritage Area. We will see you at the next festival. Don't block your face. Don't block his face. Gullah Geechee. Gullah Geechee. Remember to post your photos on the website. Black Pearl. Black Pearl.
Our ancestors always been a part of our heritage of each and every celebration. And in the prayers houses or praise houses that the enslavers built on each plantation in the Carolina and some Georgia colonies, they would lift the words of that song, sometimes not to that tune, but because our ancestors were not taught to read or write. There were certain meters that we would learn so that whatever words to hymns would be sung, there would be a structured rhythm that they would use. Long meter, common meter. And it would sometimes go like this. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Now you've heard the tune, so join in. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright, shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Step back and sing.
Yes, sir.
When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we'd first Continue. I am going to give a reading from the Gullah Bible, because as some gatherers, they want to know, well, what the scripture is for today, because we would be in Sunday school, they said. I'm going to give a reading from the Gullah Bible, and then followed with a song, and then we'll have readings from two poets. Now, the Gullah Bible is called The Good News. The, D-E for the, and good, and news, N-Y-E-W-S. The Good News, or the Gullah Bible, is the New Testament. And it took about 30 years to complete the translation. Linguists had moved to the community of St. Helena Island, South Carolina, and began this important work. And many wanted to know, why? Why did they want to translate this very important document into something that was considered bad English, broken English, or substandard English? What the linguists taught me and others was that it was its own language. It had its own grammatical rules. And from the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 1 through 10, that's what I'm going to read. And it's subtitled, Jesus teach about them or bless for truth. Now what I'd like you to do, because this is a reading of the Beatitudes, whenever I raise my hand like this, you are to say, they bless for truth.
Bless for truth.
Oh, everyone didn't participate.
They bless for truth.
All right. When Jesus see all the crowd them, it go on upon top one high hill. It sat on it, and a cycle them come gather around them. Then Jesus stand for long. It say,
They bless for truth.
them people will ain't have no hope in themselves, cause God they rule over them.
Bless for truth.
Them was sorrowful now, cause God will encourage them.
They bless for truth.
Them will ain't think they more than what it are. Because all the whole world won't belongs to them. Them were hungry and thirsty for what right. Because they want to get satisfied. Them will have mercy upon other people because God will have mercy upon them. Them that only want to just have the Lord because they want to see God.
Bless for truth.
Them what they work hard for help people live peaceable with one another because God wants quarreling each other.
Bless for truth.
Them what other people make suffer because they don't work straight with God. You You're blessed for true. When people hold your cheek and make you suffer, and when they say all kind of bad things about you, well, ain't true, cause you have to follow me. Must be glad for true, cause you're going to get a whole heap of good thing that God they keep for you in heaven. You must remember that the people will make you suffer. Them thing yeah, they all people done the same thing to the prophet them would live way back then. Did you understand everything? Red?
Yeah, bro.
All right. Also, I'll sing it and then go along. Dear blessed for true, them were no God. God met a way for a children. God did the word, and yet it then do the word, and then watch God make a way for a children. For God make the word, the been there, the word been there with God. For God make the word been there, the word been there with God. They blessed the true, them one no God. God make the way for each other. God did the word, so yet it then do the word, and then watch God make a way for each other. Oh, for God make the word been there. The word been there with God. For God make the word been there. The word been there with God. They full up with joy. Them were no God. God make a way for a children. God did the word, so yet it then do the word, and then watch God make a way for a children. Oh, for God make the word has been there. The word been there with God. For God make the word has been there. The word been there with God. One more time now. For God make the word has been there. The word been there with God. For God make the word has been there. The word been there with God. From the show to come for us.
Oh, go right here, brother.
Please greet him warmly.
Morning.
Good day, Ted.
I ain't keep you long. Just wanted to say a couple things. First of all, yesterday was beautiful. Beautiful.
You're good, brother.
It's actually my first time being here, and you all made me feel at home. I will absolutely be back. I just want to say a couple things. A lot of the feedback, I had a lot of conversations yesterday, a lot of exchanges, really beautiful about the different stories. Anytime you see me, I'm very accessible. If you want to share something with me, by all means, tug me by this hot fugu and have a conversation with me. I enjoyed all of your stories, had conversations. I remember exactly what everyone told me yesterday, and I take those stories with me. And that actually informs how I proceed in teaching. I take all of that into consideration. When I first got to put out the word that I was teaching in Gullah at Harvard, I was stopped in a grocery store by a woman maybe in her early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and assistant. She said to me that she wishes that she had that type of example when she was younger and deciding what to do in life, because she believes that with all of her potential then, it would have been maybe the thing that she needed to not take some of the path that she did. And she ended up being a domestic worker and mother, and she loved the life that she led, but she was more ambitious than the life that she led. And I ain't even gonna lie, I got a little misty. It got me emotional, because all those generations later, I could relate. I could relate in being in school and wishing that there was more representation of me standing in front of the class. And most of the time when you hear in media, the way that we're presented to ourselves, when they want somebody who's, a lover, they got a French accent. They want somebody who's passionate, they might have an Italian accent. Someone who's a genius, or they have a German accent. When they want someone who robbed somebody who is ignorant, someone who's a servant, someone who's subservient, and all of a sudden it's, I don't know nothing about the no baby. That's what it is. And so just imagine what it would be like if every time you saw on James Bond, like 007 was battling some genius who was Gullah Geechee. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the hero hopping off their horse to save the day, Geechee? And it occurred to me that there are times when people will ask me, and I mean Gullah Geechee people will ask me, how do you say certain things in Gullah Geechee that we've already said? And it occurs, it's not that we don't know. We got the information in our head, but it's not connecting. We're not connecting the dots because there's been a break in the line between them two dots. And so we're not connecting the dots. So one of the things is people, again, who want Gullah Geechee will say, well, how do you say something romantic in Gullah Geechee? Do you have ways of being romantic? You see all these terms? And so that's what I wanted to share with you, is that you already have the answers up here and in here. They're already there. Even if many of you have been conditioned to not speak your language, there's a good chance the person who did it spoke the language they didn't want you to speak. And you just need somebody to come, or something, or someone to come and mine it out of your mind. And I'm telling you, the first and foremost step to doing that is just finding yourself, being yourself. Just being yourself, being relaxed. That little thing you get when you accidentally say something in front of somebody, and you miss it. Let them slip, let them slide. Go ahead and be it out loud. Because they can't fire all of us. The consequences are more mental than tangible in our surroundings. We could do what we could do. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, I wanted to come in and once again thank you all, greet you all, tell you that this language, this culture, and it's okay if maybe your Gullah ain't as thick as somebody else one, and somebody else, it ain't gotta be that. Everybody ain't got the same accent. They ain't gotta sound like they do in Wilmington the way we do in Charleston, and Charleston ain't gotta sound like Jacksonville. Everybody got their own approach to it, and that's okay. But whatever it is that feels authentic to you, be that. Now notice I didn't say do that.
Do that.
Be that. Because at the end of the day, we embody this thing. People say, well, is Gullah the language, or the people, or the culture, or the food? And I say, yes. Yeah.
All of that.
If you can understand that French is a language and French is a people, if you can understand that when they come to cut up, then you can understand who we are. Oh, is it Gullah or is it Geechee? Yeah. That the answer is yes. And is it this language influences? There's one more thing before, because this came to mind before I leave. There's one more thing that I want y'all to be made aware of, and you may run into this. Right now, there's a concerted effort, and there's always going to be this effort in one way, shape, or form. But there are white supremacists who have tried to commandeer the Nordic traditions and turn Vikings into white people. Vikings would kill white people as fast as they would anyone else. At the time, whiteness did not exist as a concept. They didn't spare the English because they were white. And a Viking is not an ethnicity. It's a job. It's an occupation. It's a thing you do. You're not born a Viking as an ethnic. That's not a real thing. But they are taking these things and turning them into white supremacist talking points. And one of the ironic white supremacist talking points that they have now is that Gullah is not an African American language. That Gullah is actually an Irish language. Yes. The Gullah is actually an Irish language, and they're connecting it to Hiberno English, which is the reason that they're doing this is because the Europeans that we ended up, because we had to learn English from somewhere. Well, the people that we ended up learning the English from were the Scots-Irish people, the people who were transported from over in the UK, here and abroad, in Australia, in the Caribbean. There's a reason that when people start trying to do a bad Jamaican patois imitation, it turns into Lucky Charms. Because of the influence of the Irish and Scottish language, more so the Irish, who were utilized as indentured labor. Operative word being indentured. So that is where we learned a lot of our English. That's how it works. But there were also indigenous influences. There were also African influences. There were also influences considering the fact that the Irish weren't speaking the English that they ended up speaking. Their language was also banned as well. The English colonized Ireland and Scotland and did a very similar thing, not exactly, but a similar thing to them that they did to us, including putting them on boats, having them come over here and be working forced labor. Now, of course, after a rebellion where we got together with some Irish folks and rebelled, they said, no, we're gonna put a stop to this. Y'all are now officially white, and you can one day work off your debt and be free and maybe even own one of them. Y'all ain't never gonna be free, so what side you wanna be on? And that was the end of solidarity right there. But the language immersion is simply, this is how we were introduced to English. Don't deny that. That's just a fact. We can't deny that. Okay? But what we did with it from that point forward. Okay? Now, if you give me some tomatoes, you give me a little bit of okra, a couple of ingredients here and there, and I go and find me some other ingredients, come back and make me some gumbo. You can try to say, you make my gumbo? That ain't how that works. You ain't even got no gumbo where you at. Where the people at in Ireland that sound like we do? So while y'all cherry picking the words and phrases in our language that we might have gotten from the Irish, because that's where our ancestors learned the English from, where y'all getting our language from? Where are the people who sound like they're speaking AAVE in Ireland? How many times have we ever said, I can't tell if this dude is black or Irish? Is he Gullah Geechee or is he from Ireland? You ain't getting the truth. Because that is propaganda. If they can't beat us, they will try to join us, and we already know what joining means when it comes to those who would have us be subservient to them. So at the end of the day, don't let nobody like what Grandma said, don't take no wooden nickel. Okay? Don't let nobody do that to you. At the end of the day, you don't have to be special by their metric, because you already are. You don't have to be exotic by their metric, because you are who you are. And no matter what you do with this language, no matter what you try to express, when somebody asks you, what does a Gullah Geechee people, how does a Gullah Geechee person say this? Why, I just said it. However I just said it, that's how you say it. Because you don't have to perform your Gullah Geechee culture to be who you are. You already are that. If you want to code switch and say it in standard English, that's fine too. If you want to learn to speak Spanish, and somebody say, how does a Gullah Geechee person speak Spanish? Like I just did. How a Gullah Geechee person, drink out that content like I just did. How you stand up on this behind this mic like I'm doing right now. That's how. Don't perform nothing for these people. Do not make anybody feel like you got to do all this or whatever in order to qualify. And that's even in your own community. Amen. 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 Okay? Even in your own community. You might never get. I wouldn't even be able to afford this when I was growing up. I'm a Gullah. So if I couldn't afford this when I was growing up, I wouldn't be Gullah. If we had nothing but pork and beans and rice and couldn't afford to eat all of the foods, the cultural foods that we have, because we ain't had it like that. I'm a Gullah when I've eaten that pork and beans and rice every day. We don't have to do any one specific thing or be Gullah Geechee in one particular way, even if somebody who looked like you tell you that. You are still going to be Gullah Geechee regardless. Geechee down to the marrow. So, at the end of the day, you ain't got to do that. Just be that. We out.